The United States crosses 70,000 deaths from COVID-19 and is not making sustained progress towards flattening the curve. The UK is near 30,000 deaths, now second in terms of deaths, passing Italy yesterday as other European countries like Italy, Spain, France, Belgium, Germany, and Switzerland now show solid progress in flattening their curves. Good morning, it's May 6th, 2020. I'm Zank from Bennett Data Science for today's update on the COVID-19 recovery graphs, where you'll see how states and countries are recovering from COVID-19. Let's start out at the world view. And when I say that the United States doesn't look like it's recovering very well, let's look at this first curve here. The blue line is the number of overall deaths. As this rises, we want to see it slow and eventually flatten out, the way I'm sort of drawing with the mouse, the way you see happening here in France. It goes up, and then it has this shoulder and looks like it's going to flatten. The indication of that flattening is this red curve, which I've smoothed with the thicker orange curve. So I'm going to pay attention largely to this orange curve today. This orange curve, when it drops down to 0, that represents the number of new deaths from COVID-19 per day. When that number drops to 0, the curve will be flat and there's no more COVID in that region, or at least there are no more deaths due to that. And that is the flattening of the curve. So when the orange curve drops down to 0, the curve is flattened. So I look from sort of a zoomed out view at how this orange curve is behaving. We see in the United States it doesn't drop down as quickly as we'd like. The United Kingdom is showing this dropping. The oscillatory behavior is due to how deaths are being recorded, not necessarily due to some other behavior that's intrinsic to the virus. Italy is showing a sustained drop, but not as quickly as it came on. So we'd like to see this drop faster, but all the same, it is dropping. Spain, we see it dropping quite well. France, Belgium, Brazil is a big outlier and a big exception here, as is Canada. But we see Germany looking very, very good. If I click into this chart, I can see that there were 0 recorded deaths on May 5th, 127 on May 4th, 54 on May 3rd, rather. So this is dropping really, really well, and you can see this curve is almost flat here at the top. Let's see how Germany does over the next week or so, but it looks like they may be in a much better position than a lot of countries. Mexico is showing this orange curve going up quite high. May 5th is 236 deaths, up from a few weeks prior they were at near 500. Or rather, let's see, number of new deaths per day, rather, was 36, 26, quite low a few weeks ago, and now they're up to 10 times that number. Russia and Peru still increasing. Let's see, let's switch over to the United States for a moment and look at our states. New York dropping, not as quickly, again, as we would like. Looks an awful lot like the curve for Italy, where it came on very quickly, it started to drop, and then went a little bit more slowly. Let's compare that to Italy for a moment. Very similar shapes here. New Jersey, oscillating behavior. They showed on May 4th only 39 deaths, when on just 4 days prior they were above 450. So this, I hope this stays down at 0, but you could expect this to oscillate farther. Again, only time will tell if this is really flattening for New Jersey. Michigan is showing sustained behavior downward, which is good, the third hardest hit state. And when I say good, these are real people these graphs represent, and nothing is good beyond 0, but we are seeing progress, and that's what I mean. Massachusetts had a peak and then dropping again. This is still a lot of new deaths per day, 86 the day before, 158. So there's still probably around 100 or over. So this is still not good. And so we're really hoping that we see this sustained drop like what we're seeing in New York. Pennsylvania oscillating a bunch. They went up to 300 deaths on April 29th and then down to 37 on May 4th. Is this going to continue to oscillate? Well, time will tell. Connecticut went down. They recorded 0 deaths on May 3rd and then up to 120. Not exactly sure what's going on there. California is oscillating a bunch. Louisiana doing the same. Georgia, if I sort of flatten the flattened curve here, And I don't mean that type of curve flattening where we see no more new states. I mean the orange curve here is oscillating so much, and I would expect that behavior to continue due to how they're recording deaths there in Georgia. Maryland looks like it's seeing a good drop as well. So there's some implications of not beating this thing and not getting out of the woods sooner. We're showing, or there have been reports, and I'll put them in the notes with this video, that the virus has mutated from its first state and is now more contagious than it used to be. And why that's important is when we develop vaccines. So we're hopefully being careful, we're staying in, and we're buying time until there's a vaccine, until there's a way to beat this thing, to beat COVID-19. And if it mutates before we develop a vaccine or during that process, and it becomes more contagious or it continues to infect more people, that's a really difficult case because the vaccine might not be effective or as effective in the new mutated version of the virus. So the staying at home might be really, really important. I say might. There's so much information out there. We really don't know exactly what the future will bring. But I still believe that staying in is the way to make these death curves really, really, really slow down. So I hope everyone's healthy and stays well. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching.